Okay, everyone, welcome to a PreGuap. This is usually our Patreon exclusive segment where we just talk about some bullshit for the show. However, today we're going to be talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination, and I felt that just for like historical reference, it was worth making this one public. As usual, I'm Tanner. I am joined by my friends Nico, Jackson, and Dylan. Let me go ahead and get the facts as we currently know them out of the way. So, at approximately 2:23 p.m. Mountain Time, Charlie Kirk was shot by rifle through the neck. He was doing a college campus event at Utah Valley University. And then there was a big manhunt because the shooter got away at first, and then within about 30 hours they caught him. For us, I'm gonna say I'm not gonna bother saying the shooter's name, just in a small effort to deny him some of the notoriety he was obviously going for. And as far as we can tell right now, this was just a straight up politically motivated assassination. And I believe Utah law enforcement has said they are going to be seeking the death penalty. So, there are a lot of angles to approach this from. I think we're just gonna start with, let's start with like how you guys found out and your initial reaction to it. Let's kick it off with you, Dylan.
Yeah, so unsurprisingly, I'm disconnected from internet and news, but there was a link that got sent in the politics channel from Jackson, and then there was the follow-up video that was the close-up in the Not Safe for Life channel from Nico, and that's when I first found out. And, to be honest, I wasn't, like, the biggest fan of, like, Charlie Kirk's, like, speech and everything, but the more content I listened to his, and the more I listened to him talk and his ideologies and all that kinds of stuff, I realized he just kind of stood for, some morally great principles, especially ones that we need back in America. And to be honest, like, it fucked me up pretty bad. Like, I legitimately, like, I was sick, and, like, my head was cloudy, and I just, like, was not doing okay. And that stuck with me for, like, legitimately 24 hours. I was just not doing okay. And, I know a lot of other people feel the same way, but I guess if I was to summarize it to say that, which is weird, I've never been this fucked up about a celebrity death before. I guess if you could label it a celebrity death, but I don't know what else it would be. But, like, genuinely, I haven't felt this way since, like, a close family member of mine has passed away. Which, I'm sure, like I said, a lot of people feel the same way, but...
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I did not really absorb his content much at all. I'd obviously seen clips and was familiar with him. And so I was, like, shocked at how much it fucked me up. Especially because, like, I've been on the internet, I've seen videos of people dying in horrible ways, and even dying in ways I'd say are objectively more painful and terrible to watch than this. But this one, really just fucking hit me in a way that I wasn't expecting. Like, that video, legitimately is one of the most horrible things I've ever seen. And yeah, it fucked me up pretty bad. I was ruminating on it for... I'd say about 24 hours like you. I kept finding myself with my hands, like, shaking uncontrollably. It was, fucking crazy. Just like you guys posting it in the Discord is how I found out, because I was at work, so I wasn't, like, watching the news or anything. How about you, Nico?
Yeah, it was the exact same way as you guys. It was Jackson, and then I took to Twitter checking out what the fuck was going on, and that's where I found, the video of the shooting and stuff, and real not good stuff, I tell you, real not good.
Yeah, and how about you, Jackson?
Like they were alluding to, I was the one that initially posted it. I was just browsing Twitter, and I saw some post from like 20 minutes ago at the time, and it said that Charlie Kirk had been shot. on the Utah campus. I was like, what the fuck? So I, watched it, saw it was like the really zoomed out shot, posted it. Nico posted the close up. I didn't realize how bad it was. I heard he got shot, but I figured it was like recoverable potentially, and then I saw that close up, and it's fucking gruesome, man. It's gruesome, and that people just kept posting it constantly. I mean, unsurprisingly. And I saw that clip a lot because I didn't even watch it. I'm just scrolling and I see him get shot in the fucking neck for like the whole day. Like you guys, I'm not crazy about Charlie Kirk. I didn't really watch his content, so I don't know if this really fucked me up that much. I think it sucks that he died. I think it's horrible that this guy took away the father of his family. But I think it's more about like just the message of it all that got to me. Like, why him? Like, he's just some fucking guy that went and like debated college kids. Why him? Of anybody. It doesn't make any sense. He's like shockingly moderate for a conservative. It just, and especially like the outcry of friends and stuff, just like lambasting his death, rest in piss, that type of shit. Like, come on. It's just been really shocking hearing everything that's come of it.
Yeah, for me, they're like, it's kind of eye-opening almost, because at first, when you are happening across messages of people like celebrating this, you're like, okay, it's a handful of weirdos over on Blue Sky or whatever. But then, you'll start seeing like YouTubers you watch, and you'll see people like on mainstream news just saying shit. And I don't know if any of you have run into this, but you'll see like people in real life or even family members saying something snarky or even celebratory, and you're like, oh, the problem is so much wider and so much not on the internet than I thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have necessarily that many counts of it. I shockingly thought I was gonna come home to the news being on and my family saying things. But, surprisingly enough, they haven't had the news on for, like, the past week, and I haven't heard them say anything. The only thing of note in regards to that is one of my coworkers, because like me and a lot of the people at where I work, we have the same political beliefs more or less. So me and one of my coworkers were talking about it, and the coworker that shares an office with this guy was like, "Oh, well, I didn't think that guy meant that. I didn't know that guy meant so much to you guys." And I kind of like knew at that point. I was like, I probably shouldn't be talking about this around this guy. Come to find out later from that guy I was talking with. Because I think I mentioned this in the Discord earlier, but it's the same guy who apparently one of them came back from lunch, and he said something along the lines of, "I wouldn't wish this death upon anybody, but the world's a better place without him." And I agree with Jackson. It's so fucked up, because at the end of the day, regardless of politics or anything, at the end of the day, you killed a Christian man who just debated people because he wanted to, have a movement. And he had a family, he had a wife and kids, so you killed a Christian man who talked for a living, who was a father and a husband, like, and like Tanner was saying, and you celebrate that shit? I think that's also what fucked me up a ton, is like, how far have we descended that we live in a country that it's okay to celebrate the death of a fellow American because he had a different opinion from other people? Like, come on, like, and I pray that I don't run into anybody I know, because there's plenty of coworkers of mine that are on social media more than I am, and I've heard many cases of people just like, yep, I have started unfriending and unfollowing people based on their comments or their posts or any kind of interaction they have because of what they're saying. And it's not just like a couple people, it's quite a handful of people. I know lots of people have been fired over this, and like, it's just, I think it's going to take a lot more than this, but I just think it's going to take a lot to just show how not okay reactions are. And if we get any more, I have a little more to say, but I'll pass the torch and maybe we'll get into more of this here in a bit.
I was just going to talk more about like the friend situation. I also have friends that have been very outspoken about his death, unsurprisingly. I've got a lot of left-wing friends. I follow a lot of people on Twitter that are artists, and they're almost entirely very radical leftists. And the big thing about it is that they're celebrating this guy dying because they think he's some homophobic racist or something, which is all not fucking true. You can go and look up shit. I've seen an obscene amount of clips of the exact opposite, him trying to empower black people or just generally people of color. I've seen tons of people or tons of clips about him, debating gay people and about lifestyle choices. He's just not what they're painting him to be. So you can't even argue with these people because they just won't fucking listen to you. And they're just going to think you're some retard if you try to, cite evidence about why they're wrong. They're not going to care 99% of the time. So, it's an effort in futility. But the big thing that fucks me up about it is, again, this guy's views are pretty, normal, honestly. He's not, a fucking far, right, alt-right type of figure at all. He thinks that trans people are not living in reality based. And genuinely, I feel like I'm on a pretty similar level to him, if not maybe even worse in some regards. So if the people, my close friends celebrating his death, is only telling me that if I was outspoken about my topics too, they'd want me fucking shot as well. And they can, stand on their pedestal of oh no, it's you, so I wouldn't want you to get shot. But shut the fuck up, man. You wanted him shot and you don't know anything about him. If you were maybe one of the kids that he was outreaching to, one of the people that he's changed the lives of with his movement, then, it would all change, but you're not. So, where's the line that they draw here? It's just crazy. They would, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's one of the big things for me, too. I'm pretty definitively either on par or to the right of him on, every issue, I'd bet. And so it is just okay, well, if they killed him, that means that there are people in this country who would want to see me dead, And I think that's part of the reason why, even though I wasn't a big follower of his content, it hit me so hard. It's just that guy is really, really similar to me, in a couple of years, I'll be the same age. Based on how things are going, I'll probably have a family that's the same age as his as well. So, it's really fucked up, And one thing is, I think it's totally legitimate to just completely cut yourself off from people who are interacting with this, because it really does say a lot if they are, celebrating this. Not just in that, obviously it's grotesque to get enjoyment out of this, but to go that extra step to not keep those thoughts to yourself and actually post on the public internet, that's just a whole extra level that I really do think is a perfectly legitimate indictment of who they are as a person.
Yeah, exactly. It really just goes to show how far gone some people are, and it's sad, Mm-hmm. Like you guys have been saying, this isn't some crazy fringe guy or anything like that. Even if this was someone, regardless of what side on the political spectrum they are, if this was fucking Nick Fuentes or Hassan Piker or some shit, even then you really shouldn't just be going around celebrating someone's death like this. It's bad, it's sad.
Yeah. I don't know what's more fucked up to me, because I assume with a lot of these people, they don't truly feel any of this. This is just something they are posting as a signal of their political allegiance. I don't know which I find more fucked up. People who legitimately feel glee, or people who are pretending to for points.
Yeah.
I mean...
Sorry, go ahead.
It's just... It's so... I find... I don't know how much irony I find in this whole situation, just because... I think, if anybody's at all aware of the political anything going on in this country, which I'm not, so if everybody should know this, but the fact that, they're painting people like him and, whoever else, they're labeling people as fascists or Nazis or whatever. I just think people have an overblown exaggeration on what they think. It's like Tanner was just saying, they're just kind of riding the wave. They're just going with what people are saying. I don't think people actually truly understand what Nazi fascism is to the extent of how people experienced it back when it happened. And I still find it ironic that all of these people want to talk about how they want to speak their rights and have their voices be heard, yet when this man was speaking his rights and having his voice be heard, he was killed for it. And I know Matt Walsh did a video kind of on this too, just explaining he didn't say ironies, but I acknowledged them as ironies. And even Matt Walsh going as far to say, he's acknowledging, people like him, I don't know very many people, so I'm not going to be able to list a ton, but him and Ben Shapiro, they're, not, you know, they're in the same boat. And Matt Walsh went on to acknowledge that on these media threads, he's finding names of people who people want, which is another fucked up thing. These people are making lists of people they want assassinated next, and him and like Ben Shapiro are on that list. And it's like, yeah, not only is it disgusting that people are celebrating this, but now they're formulating lists of people they want killed in addition to this person. And it's just, to add on to the irony, these are the same people who want to get rid of guns and get rid of violence and say that we're the violent ones and that we need to be peaceful and accepting of everybody. That's the even more fucked up part about it. This just keeps getting more fucked up as it goes. They're the people, I'm not going to say side, they're the people that want there to be equality and for people's voices to be heard, and they want, you know, they want everybody's rights to be acknowledged, yet when this guy does it, people are like, that's evil, that's not okay, they're Nazis, they're fascists, you should stop them, they're not doing the right thing. There is just so much irony in this whole situation. It's so fucked up, and it's just like, you don't see anybody, like, you don't see conservatives going out and, you know, incite. That's probably something I heard within the last, like, 24 hours. It's one thing you're not seeing, because if this was some kind of leftist thing that happened, like one of their big people got killed, then they'd be like, you know, riots in the street, you know, firebombing stores and all that shit. You don't see, like, conservatives going out and doing that. And it's just, like, it's so telling what the fuck is going on in this moment of time. I truly was fearful. Within 24 hours, I'm glad nothing truly crucial has happened, at least not yet. I was truly fearful of just the public social repercussions that were going to follow his assassination, because I legitimately thought there was just going to be, like, mass amounts of violence occurring for whatever reason. And luckily, like I said, in regards, there hasn't been that. But it's just not right for me as an American citizen to fear politically, socially, and publicly what's about to happen. That, like, I understand, like, this country's amazing, this country's great, and I understand there are other countries dealing with this, but for the fact that I have to feel that here is just so not okay, and the state of the country is in such a bad spot, and I think this event is the biggest telltale sign of that. It's truly horrifying to, like, see the grand encompassing, like, I don't have the words, I'm not using them right. It's just horrifying to see the big picture here. Everything that's going on, every facet of it, and it's just, it's insane. I don't really know what else to say besides that.
Yeah, I agree. Part of the problem is, like, so many people literally don't know anything. They don't know what's going on in the world. Like, a lot of these people that are celebrating his death, they unironically will say shit like socialism is a centrist ideology, you know? Some of the people that are annoying me the most are the people that are trying to turn this into, like, a gun control debate. Like, a targeted political assassination, while it is quote-unquote violence with a gun, that is not the kind of thing that is going to be stopped by gun control, you know? Like, look at fucking Shinzo Abe, the former prime minister of Japan. He was killed by a gun in Japan, where they have the strictest gun laws imaginable. So, like, trying to, like, connect this to school shootings is literally insane.
Yeah, and what to make matters worse, too, it goes back to that dumb analogy of, like, well, spoons don't make people fat, people make people fat. And it's like, the cringiest, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think,
where the hell did you hear that?
It's something from, don't worry about it, but
okay.
It's kind of just saying what you're saying, where it's like, guns aren't the problem, it's the people that have them that are the problem. And I think one of our Patreon members, Jay, he posted in the politics channel as well about the engravings on the bullets. And if there's anything that's gonna speak to the mental fortitude of the shooter, like, I read that shit and I'm like, this is the type of shit that, I mean, this is like a minuscule thing to say, but I was already embarrassed of my generation for the most part. To see what was engraved on those bullets, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah,
why?
He's a fucking Redditor.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
And it's just, it's exactly like Tanner was saying, you're not gonna fix gun control by trying to take away guns. You need to take care of the youth that have misleadings and misconstrusions of, like, what's going on. And I don't remember who I was listening to. It might have been a Charlie Kirk debate. I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure it was. You stop school shootings by putting armed guards there, because how do you stop a robbery from happening? You have an armed guard at the bank. How do you, like, and that, it's just, he was talking about how all these other
I think we're
institutions...
starting to get a bit off topic here.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I get a little heated. I apologize.
Let me move on. Let me move on to what we think is going to happen in the future. Do you guys think that this is going to lead to like some retaliatory strikes, quote unquote, or some sort of retribution? Like, are we going to see like a left-wing figure get killed now?
I don't think so, honestly.
I hope not. I think that would be the exact opposite of what Charlie would want.
Yeah.
Out of his death. And I hope people would, I guess, respect his wishes in that regard. I don't really think much of anything is going to happen, to be completely honest. I think all of, like, the people getting fired for, mocking somebody's death is great. Big fan of that. I think it's great, too, just some, like, justice for all the right-wingers that got fired throughout the years for basically the same reason now, the shoes on the other foot. They can fucking have a taste of their own medicine or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But largely, I don't think things are going to change a ton. I've been seeing a ton of people like RPing on Twitter about like this is the moment where things have finally actually turned. It's certainly blackballed a lot of people, I'm sure, but I think to the general public, most people just don't really give a fuck, so it's not really going to have any lasting impact. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I have a hard time figuring it out. Just because one thing is like, you kind of gotta understand the difference between how like left-wing political violence and right-wing political violence expresses itself. Left-wing tends to be in these like in the context of a larger movement or at least a group, and it's usually like more frequent, lower intensity violence, whereas right-wing violence tends to be like a lone actor, and they are doing it directly in response to something. Like the biggest examples for each of these for left-wing violence would be like when the civil rights movement broke down and turned into just like a handful of random groups that were doing like bank robberies and police assassinations for a couple of years. And then the biggest example with the right wing would be like Timothy McVeigh and the Oklahoma City bombing, which was like a single massive event, which he did specifically in response to the Ruby Ridge and Waco massacres. And I guess to that point, like killing Charlie Kirk, it's obviously a major event, but it is only one guy, whereas like the last time we saw with the Oklahoma City bombing, it was like a lot of people being killed. And in that case, it was people specifically being killed directly by the government. This one is much more amorphous, so it's kind of hard to say. I really could go either way on like, well, I guess I will say, like, I do think the violence is going to continue. I don't think the temperature comes down as people keep saying. I think we're going to see more killings. I don't know if we'll see any as high profile as this, but I think stuff like on par with a couple weeks ago, those couple of Minnesota like state representatives that got killed. I think like just random sporadic stuff targeting like people you wouldn't expect to be targeted will probably continue to happen.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's just because I think it takes any sane person to say, I don't want to see anybody die, and I can't tell if it's me being optimistic and saying that I don't think anybody's gonna die, or just the state of the facts, but I'd like to believe that in honors to Charlie and just the ideals and the morals as a whole, I would hope and expect that there would be no killings, but... Yeah.
I do think... I guess one argument I'd put in favor of there not going to be, like, more violence in response to this is just, like, pretty much every influencer on the right, no matter how far to the right they are, have been saying, we'll beat them in the ballot box, or we'll use legal means, So to that end, I guess we have decent, I don't even know what phrase I would use here, but like the mouthpieces of the various factions of the right are pretty unanimous in saying, we aren't going to kill you, but, we're going to sick the law on you.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of what I've been seeing. It's a lot of these influencers on the right have been saying, don't retaliate, don't react. That's what they would want you to do, and that's not what Charlie would want you to do. So we're just gonna, like, write this out and let justice be served them the way it should be and not take actions into our own hands, because that's just gonna cause to make things worse. And I agree. I think karma, however you grasp it, is a real thing, and I think this will come back around somehow to fuck something up, I'm sure. What it is...
I think there's a decent chance that this makes it so that the midterms are at the very least a toss-up instead of definitely being the Republicans losing ground. Like, I don't think, Joe and Jane Suburban are going to react very well to this. And one interesting outgrowth that I think I've already noticed from this is I think this has blown the doors wide open on what can be talked about in public and, like, who can talk in public. And specifically, I'm referring to people who, like Nick Fuentes, who is basically unpersoned. I have a feeling he is going to suddenly find himself very much in the mainstream and able to talk on channels that people who are not specifically seeking him out will see. And who's to say if that's positive or negative? I guess one last thing we'll touch on. You guys buying into any of the conspiracy theories around this? Specifically that was, like, Israel that got him killed?
No, I haven't even heard of anything like that.
Yeah. I haven't seen any compelling evidence of it, and based on what we currently know of the shooter and, like, the people around them and what possible motivations they had, like, everything right now clicks into place for me in a way that I say, okay, yeah, this all makes sense, I suppose. Okay, do we have any closing thoughts?
Rest in peace, dude. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Charlie.
Prayers out to his family.
Yeah, he was doing the work that
Absolutely.
not a lot of people were willing to do, and he was speaking on things that not a lot of people were willing to speak on, so mad props to him and what he was doing, and yeah, lots of prayer out to his family and people who knew him. This sucks.
Yeah.
I guess one minor thing I'll say is I think it's interesting that Ben Shapiro said he wants to, like, take Charlie's place of sorts as, like, a political commentator that comes to campuses like this and tries to do whatever Charlie was doing. I'm not religious at all, as you guys probably know, so I don't have, like, a big stake in this game, but I do absolutely see a big part of Charlie's I guess teachings, for lack of a better word, were about trying to spread faith with Christianity, talking about God and teachings of Jesus, things like that. He has a lot of arguments for that. His whole rationale behind his hatred to the LGBT is entirely centered around it being against the Bible, or not, like, maybe entirely, but it's a large portion of his rationale behind it. And I think that's just something that Ben can't fill at all, given he's a Jew. So I'm curious to see how he'll, I guess, attempt to fill those shoes. I'd like to see somebody else step up to the plate to, like, actually fill his gap, but I don't imagine we're going to see something like that for a while.
I mean,
honestly,
who knows?
I didn't really read into Ben's
here.
statement that much. Sorry,
Likewise.
What was that, Nico?
I was saying, who knows? It could even be someone here.
Dude, that's Tanner.
Oh, yeah.
Tanner, we found your new job.
There we go.
Pick up the torch.
I'm just, I'm not a debate bro is the problem.
You could have fooled
I'm not
me.
good at debating because, like, I'm not all that interested in facts.
That's a hell of a statement.
I just mean, like...
I just think with
I'm
my
more
gut,
Yeah, I think there's a lot to intuition and vibes, and obviously based on what I ended up going for in school, I'm much more of a philosophical thinker, I'm not so much a time and date thinker.
Gotcha.
Valid, I guess.
But yeah, there you go. Thanks for joining us on this pre-guap. Don't forget, demons are real.
Oh, I guess that's a closing. I think it's funny the amount of times I've heard the word demon thrown around by a lot of these influencers. That's a very interesting word that they're throwing out, but I'm curious to see if that name is going to stick.
I mean, you know, the word demon has been around for a couple hundred years, so yeah, I think
I'm
it's
very-
here to
I'm
stay.
very
We'll see, Tanner. We'll see.
I'm mostly referring to the fact that of how these people are referring to others. But
I think it's pretty common to refer to people doing something like objectively evil as demons, but whatever. PreGuap.